Hello there. I'm Scotty. You're not. Welcome back to Dis-Cember 2023. We're looking at a movie that I didn't think I'd be able to do, and that is Stuck in the Suburbs. Okay, the reason is I don't really have access to it. I know it's on Disney Plus, but I don't have access to Disney Plus all the time. I have to watch this with my son, and then I think it's on Disney Plus. I don't know. And then come back here. And this is another one of those. It's a girly movie. I think he would enjoy this, though. I think it's a fun one. Especially since he's almost a teenager. I think he might enjoy the teenage aspects of it. But I don't know. But it's one that came out. One of two movies that came out in 2004. Two Disney Channel movies came out in 2004. That actually had the soundtrack for. The other one being Xenon Z3. Big Xenon fan. Back in the day, Disney Channel movies were everywhere. And while I didn't always gravitate towards all the girly ones, Xenon was one of them. This was one of them. In 2004 when I was, turning 18. But, it's fine. It stars Danielle Panabaker, who, I don't know if I knew her before this, but her sister was in Phil of the Future around this time. And she would go on to be in Flash and Sky High. Yeah, well, the Flash TV show, I should say. Not the movie. She's in a TV show. And Brenda Song is back, of course. But I think the main reason why I watched this was for the actor playing Jordan Cahill. It's Taran Killam. And watching his performance in this, I realized he's going against type. Very much so going against type here. Because if you watch anything that Taran Killam has done, he gravitates towards the stupid, idiot, Dumbo characters. Always falling down or running into things or doing stupid stuff, saying stupid stuff. They're dumb. That sort of characters. Like, he was Trevor on Drake and Josh, a character that was only seen once in the Doombuggy episode, but then mentioned several times afterwards. We never saw him again. I think that's because Taran Killam was never able to come back. He went on to Saturday Night Live, and he was also doing Nick Cannon's Wild and Out at the time. Why don't I say it like that? Wild and Out. Nick Cannon's Wild and Out at the time. So he was busy, so they never able to come back. So they never actually recast the role because maybe they thought he was going to come back, but he never came back. They just mentioned it. There was one phone call in Driver's License, I think. And I think he was voiced by Dan Schneider. And then, of course, Saturday Night Live and Nick Cannon's Wild and Out. But where he got his start for me was on The Amanda Show. He played Sternum, a character in the sketch, the Moody's Point sketches that were supposed to be like Dawson's Creek, one of those dramatic teen shows, but it was a spoof of that. It was fun. He was the Ducky character. He had a crush on the main character, Moody, but she had a crush for the handsome boy, Sterling. I forget they had the same name. But Cahill plays against type. He's not playing a stupid character here. He's playing a very normal, average, not average because he's a pop star, but he plays pop star Jordan Cahill. And the main story of this is that Jordan Cahill has come to this suburban town. I don't think I forgot what town it is. And a chance encounter, the main character, Brittany, played by Danielle Panabaker, runs into his best friend and caretaker, Eddie. He's basically like his PR guy. Not PR, what are they called? They go around and do things. They go around and have that little headset thing. He's one of those guys. He's not a manager, but he's his best friend and he's there with them. Well, they have a collision and they swap phones. So now, Brittany and her new best friend, Natasha, no, they're not going after Molson Squirrel. They have Jordan's phone. And, rewatching this, I realized how much this movie would not happen if Eddie was any smart. Had any brains in his head. So yeah, we meet our main character. Well, we start off with playing the song. Like, first of all, I was amazed I could find this on YouTube because years ago when I was looking at a bunch of Disney Channel original movies on YouTube, this was not one of them, and they got took down a bunch from Disney. Probably sued. He said, "Hey, no, bunch of copyright claims on all these." So I was lucky to find this. It isn't 4.3, but it actually looks pretty good quality-wise. So you can try to find on there. It has a picture of her little brother, and they're like, Yeah, so we see that Brittany is a part of this soccer team. And they're rushing home to watch the latest Jordan Cahill music video for Make-A-Wish. And then it's announced that they're going to be shooting the new music video for More Than Me, the pop version. I'll get to that later. I'm going to talk about the soundtrack a little bit later, towards the end of the review if I remember. But, this is later that it's announced, but they come to this suburban neighborhood. I don't know where it is. It's just a suburb to film this. We meet Jordan, his best friend Eddie, and the manager, who's played by that guy who's in a lot of things and is always a dick. And he's a dick here. He's sort of the main antagonist of the film. He's the manager, and he's one of those, oh, hey, you want to do your own thing? Too bad, you signed a contract. You got to do what I want you to do, and that's what you're going to do. We see Jordan as this very stylized pop star. He's got the long locks, and he's got a hat and moving around. But you see that Jordan is not happy. By the way, Taran Killam does not actually sing the songs. There's no way. I remember when I first watched this, I'm like, there's no way that's him. There's no way. I even tried looking it up back in the day to see if I don't think it's him. The tracks on the soundtrack just say Jordan Cahill. And when that's the case, it means they're not actually singing them. Remember, the High School Musical soundtrack used the characters' names as to who's singing them. Until we get to the other ones. And then I think they use the actors' names, actually. But I can bet you dollars to donuts that Taran Killam is not actually singing the music in this movie. He has technically 4 songs. Well, technically 3, 2 different versions of another. Alright? First one starts off with On Top of the World. Plays us into the movie and plays us out of the movie. Make-A-Wish is the one that's on the TV when the girls are dancing in the living room. And then you have More Than Me, which has 2 versions of it. I guess I'm going to talk about the soundtrack now. It has 2 versions of it. The pop version, which is the one that the producer wants to record, and the acoustic version, which is Jordan's version, that is played later on. Right? So, yeah, we meet this manager, and immediately you want to hate him, because he's just, you know, this guy who wants everything done his way, and nothing else. You gotta do it my way, or it's the highway, that sort of situation. So we meet Natasha, who's this new girl who says she's been all around the world. She claims to be all around the world. We find out later that's not true. But her and Brittany spark up this relationship. And Brittany tries to act cool, like she doesn't care about Jordan Cahill. Because Natasha doesn't know who he is, which should cue her into the fact that she's not worldly. Because you think she would, if she was worldly, she would know. But while they're in her room, by the way, I love how they get to the house and she's like, we're going to be in my... And then she realizes there's a bunch of Jordan Cahill stuff and tears it all down. And, yeah. The one running gag with the brother is that he's always hiding in her room somewhere. At one point, he's under her bed. He's like, you have socks in here older than me. Under here older than me. And then she's hiding in the closet. Later, she tries to suss him out in the closet. He's not there, but he's hanging on the back of the door somehow. How did he get down? I don't know. That comes into something later, but... yeah. So they're talking and everything, and then Brittany gets a phone call from her friend saying Jordan is shooting downtown or wherever it is. I don't know. And so they all go down there under the guise that she's making fun of people. Like, the teenage girls that go crazy, right? But like, at one point we see that Brenda Song is doing it too, and Natasha's doing it too, and I'm like... And later we find out she does know who Jordan is. She was kind of playing it up too. I don't know. But this is where we get the incident. They go to leave. She bumps into Eddie. The phones get switched. And then we have our plot. And the girls, more Natasha, decides they're going to mess with Jordan. He has a hair appointment, right? For highlights. They call the person at the hair place and tell her that he only wants raisins, which he hates raisins. Not to look him in the eye. Always... bow to him, sort of thing. And then she says to cut all his hair off. But the thing is, he actually likes this. And then we have a montage of them doing stuff, like changing his wardrobe and everything. The way that, and this is the way he used to look. They are helping him essentially change the way. Now, but here's the issue. After they realize they have the wrong phone, they go to the hotel that Jordan is staying at to talk to them, right? They switch the phones back. They try to tell the people at the desk what's going on, but they think that they're just trying to sneak in. So eventually, they do call up, and Eddie dismisses it, but then realizes that they're telling the truth. Instead of saying to them, Jordan and the manager, hey, he doesn't finish his sentence. He stops and freaks out and runs after them. Instead of saying, oh, there's some girls downstairs that are saying that, that her phone, one of the girls' phones was switched with yours. And when he pulls it out, he notices it. Before he even gets to finish the sentence, he sees it, freaks out. If he had just said something, they could have swapped the phones, and there would have been nothing. But then Jordan would have been stuck in this life, in this, this is the way the manager wanted. So it wouldn't, So the hair changes, the wardrobe changes. Again, also, if we did that, we wouldn't have a movie. But then the manager tells Eddie, hey, one more thing changes, and you guys are done. Eventually, Jordan's girlfriend breaks up with him, which apparently with or without Brittany, that was going to happen. And the girls are having fun, and then they have to have the third act breakup. It just, all of a sudden Brittany becomes high and mighty because she knows, she has Jordan's phone and is telling her other friends that she knows Jordan Cahill, right? And taking credit herself, even though it was mostly Natasha's doing, taking credit for everything herself. And get itch, sorry. And that angers Natasha. And then we find out that Natasha was lying about being otherworldly, being worldly, going around the world and stuff. That's not exactly true. And so that was a lie as well. And, yeah. So they had this big breakup. And this leads to Brittany sitting on a bench when she gets a call from Jordan. Because, first of all, she gets a phone call and thinks it's Natasha, but it's Eddie. And then she apologized for everything, and Eddie's like, well, I wish you would have said that before I told Jordan. He told Jordan about the phone switch off screen. So we don't get to see Jordan's reaction to the situation. We just know that he took off. Don't you think that's a scene we should have seen? Scene we should have seen. His reaction to everything, But instead, we get a scene where they're talking in the same area, by the way. I don't know how they never noticed it. But apparently, there's a low jack on the phone, which Eddie never knew about. And Eddie's just going with the bad guys now. There's the manager, a couple other goons, and Eddie's there. And it becomes a chase. The two girls reconcile, but the goons make it to Brittany's house. But the brother helps them out by giving her the bike. And they eventually catch up to Jordan, because Jordan's an idiot. I guess Terry Kill him, just have a little bit of himself in this. So Brittany calls him, or he calls Brittany, whatever one. I think Brittany calls him, because they go to where they think he is, but he left because he got hungry. He goes to this diner and orders a kid's meal or something, because he has like a cheeseburger and fries and a little toy, which is a bobblehead of himself. Now, Brittany tells him not to, bring attention to himself. He's sitting there with a beanie on his head and shades. So he's sitting there with his food. What does he do? Takes the shades and the beanie off. So everyone immediately recognizes him. He doesn't get to eat his lunch, and everybody runs after him. Yeah, okay. I would have kept the glasses and the beanie on, but this is how they meet up with each other. And then they hide from these teenage girls in a tunnel. Swap the phones, and this is where they're somehow with 2004 technology, able to take two phones, sync them up, and send the lyrics to Jordan's version of More Than Me to everyone in the immediate area, including the manager who freaks out. But, yeah. Eventually, they find him because they left the bike. I was like, why'd they leave the bike? I'm thinking maybe so that they could, distract them. And they left the phone behind. And I'm like, well, if they left the phone, why did they need the bike? The bike was just to distract them, whatever. And by the way, at this point, I forgot to mention that Brittany's mom, played by the Chief from Psych, by the way, Chief Karen Vick is her character there, is trying to save this house. And so Brittany has advertised that Jordan Cahill will be at the house. And so they're actually trying to get to there so he can perform his version of More Than Me there. And so the evil manager is also on his way there to stop them, right? And I do love this part. So they get there, the other friends are like, oh, Brittany, I bet she doesn't even know Jordan Cahill, and they're ready to leave. Because they're like, this is a great cause with or without Jordan. She say without Jordan? I bet Brittany doesn't even know. And they turn around and they pull up in the car because they called the sister. There's a gag with the sister that she just learned how to drive. But if she's driving this bad where she has to stop all the time, I don't think she would have gotten her license. I'm just saying. They can't be a permit because they have to have a licensed driver with you. So I don't know. It's just a gag. But they eventually get there. I do like, though, that they're talking. That you gotta stop talking. You're distracting me. And then they both, all three, like, huddle. And Jordan has a look on his face like he's scared. I love that. But they get there, and the girl, those other girls, just like are proven wrong. They're like, and he shows up. But then the manager and Eddie and the other two guys show up. And he tells Eddie, hey, you deal with this, and you get him to come back with us, and I'll make you in charge of the next tour or something. He's like, consider it done. He goes back, and Brittany gives him a pep talk because he's nervous, because, he's used to, he performed on stages before, but this is his music. And this is the first time he's doing his music. He's a little nervous. And Brittany has a pep talk. And then Brittany just walks by Eddie. There's no confrontation between the two of them because she walks off and he walks up. So they passed each other. I think you even see them pass each other. There's nothing. Because then they have a little talk, Eddie and Jordan. He's like, you do what you gotta do, but I'm gonna do I gotta do what I gotta do. So he goes up and looks like he's gonna change things. And the manager's even like, this will explain everything. He goes, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to my best friend, Jordan Cahill. And he plays his version of More Than Me to these people. And before I talk about the ending to this movie, I want to go back to the soundtrack, okay? Because this soundtrack is great. Okay, you got technically four songs from Jordan Cahill. You got the song Good Life by Jesse McCartney, which when I first heard it in the movie, that was a girl. Sorry, Jesse. I love your music, but I don't know. Now I don't see it because, there was a song over it or something by Annalise Vanderpool, which I think plays in the credits. And she was from That's So Raven at the time. And then you have Steelers Wheel, Stuck in the Middle with You, which hardcore movie fans would know from Reservoir Dogs. I'm even doing the Michael Madsen dance. That he does. But, yeah, and there's other songs on the soundtrack I can't remember. But, yeah, they plugged this soundtrack hard. As for the Z3 one, but soundtrack is actually great. So, the ending to the movie. Jordan sings this version of the song, which, of course, gets him acclaim. Oh, I'm going to go back to when they send the music to everyone. The song, that version of the song, we hear the version of the song, but I don't think that it's sent. But you're meant to think that because the girls are like, and they hear it, and then it's supposed to be showing that every girl around the area is getting it, but it's just the same 6 girls recycled over and over again for some reason. And then the manager gets it. He's like, oh, someone just sent me the lyrics to More Than Me. Except they're not the right lyrics. Those are Jordan's lyrics. But anyway, we cut to some time later, And Natasha is now on the soccer team for some reason, and they're on their way back. It's mirroring the opening scene, where in the opening scene, they turn the TV while the brother was playing video games. Don't do that, you'll die in the game. But here he's like, you guys are late, and they turn it to a music video. And this ending is very confusing now that I'm older and I really thought about it 19 years later. Because the music video is for the pop version of More Than Me, featuring the girls dancing in the background, with Eddie lip-syncing to Jordan's voice. And I'm sitting here going, wait, the manager was an asshole. How'd they get this green? And how was this able to be done? And how is this even a thing? Because they know that Eddie was lip-syncing. I don't understand. This makes no sense to me. It's so very confusing. They just wanted a funny little ending, I'm sure. But this just doesn't make any sense to me, man. It's just, I don't know. But then the movie ends with them on a couch. And all happy. And movie ends. Oh, and also, they're friends with Jordan now. Because Jordan's just talking, or Brittany's talking to Jordan on the phone. He wants her to go to New York. Might I add that at this point, they're like 13, 14 years old. And Jordan is 22. I get it, he's trustworthy, but still. You want your 13, 14-year-old daughters going out to... It's even before the Sweet Life. I think they're supposed to be in high school, right? Supposed to be. I don't know. But... yeah. Anyway... This is pretty good. If you wonder what I'm fidgeting with, it's my wallet. He stole his wallet. I think he stole his wallet. Back to the Future there. And then that guy that said stole the wallet was in That's So Raven. He was the teacher that always spit when he talked. Yeah, that guy that always flung out spit whenever he talked. Yeah, that guy. Not a very good recurring character. He was overused. But, like I said, this was pretty good. So, what are your thoughts on Stuck in the Suburbs? A movie I never thought I'd review, but I did it. It's done. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.